Hi, listeners. It's Crow. I'm very sorry for the delay on this episode, the unannounced hiatus. There were some personal issues going on, but I hope you enjoy this episode.
Hey, it's Fish from the parapsychology class. I asked for your number earlier today, and I think you thought it was weird, but okay, I saw your screen during class, your website, on your screen. I looked it up, and I read some stuff, and basically I need your help. I've got some paranormal stuff, question mark, happening at home, and my brother is like adamantly denying any of it is happening, but it's totally happening, and I need someone else to help me prove to him that it's actually happening, and I ideally put a stop to it, you know? Jesus Christ. Okay, you can call me back at 248-434-5508, or don't, but preferably do.
I hope I got the stupid number right. This is Fish's phone, isn't it? I mean, it said your name on the voicemail you left, but I gotta be sure. This is Bailey, by the way. Know you have my number, but just wanted to make sure you knew. I'm sorry that I'm calling so late. I totally spaced out on responding till now. Like, I opened it earlier, I swear. Smooth brain strikes again. I'm sorry. Clearly you're asleep or out or something, but I'd love to help. Totally not creepy at all. Paranormal's what I do. Happy to hear about it, talk about it, etc. Call me back whenever. I'll be up for a while.
Oh, god damn it, I missed you again. Sorry. So this is indeed Fish's phone. Huh? God, okay. It's not a big deal. Thank you for giving me a call back. I was asleep when I got your voicemail, so, it might be easier to go to, like, texting or something, since we keep, like, missing one another with these calls. It might be easier to talk in person, actually. I swear I'm not, like, a stalker or something. Oh god, I'm making this worse. Okay, just, text me when and where you want to meet up, I guess. If you do. Bye.
Right, okay. It's all gonna be okay. No reason why it wouldn't be. Hey, come on. You can do this. Spooky shit is your niche. Just gotta lean into it. As long as she thinks you know what you're doing, that's as good as you can hope for. I mean, how bad could it possibly go? She reached out to me in the first place. She's not gonna hate having me around. You got this. I got this. I totally got this.
Oh, shit, hi. Sorry, it took me a second to get to the door. I was just in the shower, so I had to throw a shirt on and all that. That's why the hair's wet. Yeah. Were you talking to yourself? Never mind. Come on in.
Hi. Yeah, thanks. No, I wasn't talking to myself. Why would I be talking to myself? There's no reason why I'd be doing that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've got coffee in a pot. I'm not sure if it's still hot, but I can heat it up if you want.
Oh, yeah, totally. Sounds awesome.
Cool. I think there was cookies on the counter, but Lori might have eaten them before you left. Oh, that's my brother that I talked about in the
Right,
voicemail.
okay. Lori,
Yeah.
brother. Got it.
Right.
You're too sweet, by the way. I'm fine with anything. Just here to help.
Oh, thank you. I'm just trying to be a decent hostess. Lori, right. He's out right now. He's been needing some out of the house time, so I made sure he was gone, at least for right now. I didn't want him to, question why I brought someone over. That sounds dumb. But, I haven't really brought someone over in a long time, and I think he'd be kind of freaked out by it, to be completely honest. I'm pretty sure he thinks I'm like a hermit or something. Sorry, I'm getting off track.
No, you're good.
So, he's got this book. So, it's for his job, but it's like weird. It's filled with these, like, honestly horrible stories. And not horrible like the writing is horrible like the content. And it's been making him kind of freak out. He keeps blaming everything on his hallucinations. He's got some kind of like psychosis. I don't know, he never told me what specifically. But I'm also experiencing them, and last time I checked, ADHD does not cause hallucinations. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but
No, same hat, not feeling that. That's so, wow.
okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So, biggest things, honestly, are like, the book keeps being out of place. Like, okay, it just kind of moves around his office. Like, he'll go in there and ask me if I moved it, and I almost never go in there without him because it's his office. So it's like, no, Lori, I didn't move your stupid book.
Oh, like some Annabelle type shit then?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, see, we're like same braining right now. He won't even listen to me.
Yeah.
Okay, see, somebody's on the right wavelength. So he just kind of like laughs and shuts his door, and then I don't see him for like 6 hours.
Okay, see, listen, I know a little bit about the paranormal, but like even if you watch the movies, like you know when the person starts isolating themselves, something's up.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when the stupid rich white family moves into the haunted house.
Exactly. That's how they get you.
Exactly.
All right.
Oh my god,
keep
we're
going,
literally
though.
okay. So now I can talk about it. Okay. So, but it's not like it's just happening to him, because if it was just happening to him, you wouldn't be here, because it probably would just be his hallucinations. But I keep hearing and seeing the same shit he does. Like, I keep seeing the book show up in places that it shouldn't be. Like, I woke up the other day and Lori was still passed out in his room, and the book was just like sitting open to a marked page on the kitchen counter, which, like, what the fuck, right?
Oh, damn. Okay, no, don't vibe with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me write this down.
Okay.
Wow.
So I didn't like really think much of it. So I was just like, okay, maybe he left it here. So I just read like the story that it was marked to, and it was weird as hell. So I'm not vibing with this at all. And then, not to mention, after he got the book, I forgot about this. We both got the flu.
What?
He doesn't leave the house. I haven't gotten sick in 3 fucking years. There's no way it's not that book.
All right. Book flu connection? Oh.
Yeah, okay, so, because I got my flu shot, and
Right.
also it was the middle of the fucking summer, and I've been getting migraines, which, like, okay, I think he already got migraines, but I haven't gotten a migraine in my life. No med changes, no extreme stressors, nothing that would physically explain me suddenly getting migraine. Does that make sense?
I think so. Jesus. Fuck, I'm way less qualified for this than I thought I was. So.
You're more experienced than I am.
I mean, I don't know anything about the medical side of it, but if this book's moving all over the place, at least I got it all written down. I'd like to, if you don't mind, can I take a look at it? Let me just...
Yeah. Oh,
there it is.
sorry, I hope I don't sound dumb. What is that?
Oh, it's an EMF reader, which okay, so I'm fairly sure I know how to use it. I
Right.
don't get a whole lot of business.
Well, here we are. So, we'll figure it out together. Right, I will go grab the book for you then. 1 second.
Let's take a look at the roster for today. Looks like just one story. The Mask of the Red Death. What the fuck kind of title is that? You know what? Whatever. Who cares? Take 1 of the Mask of the... Take 4 of the Mask... Take 7 of the Mask of the Red Death. Read by Laurie Adams. The Red Death had long devastated the country. No pestilence had ever been so fatal or so hideous. Blood was its avatar, and its seal, the madness and the horror of blood. There were sharp pains and a sudden dizziness, and then profuse bleeding at the pores with dissolution. The scarlet stains upon the body, and especially upon the face of the victim, were the pest ban which shut him out from the aid and from the sympathy of his fellow men. And the whole seizure, progress, and termination of the disease were incidents of half an hour. But Prince Prospero was happy and dauntless and sagacious. When his dominions were half depopulated, he summoned to his presence 1,000 hale and light-hearted friends from among the knights and dames of his court, and with these retired to the deep seclusion of one of his crenellated abbeys. This was an extensive and magnificent structure, the creation of the prince's own eccentric yet august taste. A strong and lofty wall girdled it in. This wall had gates of iron. The courtiers, having entered, brought furnaces and massy hammers and welded the bolts. They resolved to leave means of neither ingress nor egress to the sudden impulses of despair or frenzy from within. The abbey was amply provisioned. With such precautions the courtiers might bid defiance to contagion. The external world could take care of itself. In the meantime it was folly to grieve or to think. The prince had provided all of the appliances of pleasure. There were buffoons, there were improvisatorii, there were ballet dancers, there were magicians. There was beauty, there was wine. All of these and security were within. Without was the Red Death. It was toward the close of the 5th or 6th month of his seclusion that the Prince Prospero entertained his 1,000 friends at a masked ball of the most unusual magnificence. It was a voluptuous scene, that masquerade. But first let me tell of the rooms in which it was held. There were 7, an imperial suite. In many palaces, however, such suites form a long and straight vista, while the folding doors slide back nearly to the walls on either hand, so that the view of the whole extent is scarcely impeded. Here the case was very different, as might have been expected from the Duke's love of the bizarre. The apartments were so irregularly disposed that the vision embraced but little more than one at a time. There was a sharp turn at the right and left in the middle of each wall. A tall and narrow Gothic window looked out upon a closed corridor which perused the windings of the suite. These windows were of stained glass, whose color varied in accordance with the prevailing hue of the decorations of the chamber into which it opened. That at the eastern extremity was hung, for example, in blue, and vividly blue were its windows. The second chamber was purple in its ornaments and tapestries, and here the panes were purple. The third was green throughout, and so were the casements. The fourth was furnished and lighted with orange, the fifth with white, the sixth with violet. The 7th apartment was closely shrouded in black velvet tapestries that hung all over the ceiling and down the walls, falling in heavy folds upon a carpet of the same material and hue. But in this chamber only, the color of the windows failed to correspond with the decorations. The panes were scarlet, a deep blood color. Now in no one of any of the 7 apartments was there any lamp or candelabrum amid the profusion of golden ornaments that lay scattered to and fro and depended from the roof. There was no light of any kind emanating from lamp or candle within the suite of chambers. But in the corridors that followed the suite there stood, opposite at each window, a heavy tripod bearing a brazier of fire that projected its rays through the tinted glass and so glaringly lit the room. And thus were produced a multitude of gaudy and fantastic appearances. But in the western or back chamber the effect of the firelight that streamed upon the dark hangings through the blood-tinted panes was ghastly in the extreme, and produced so wild a look upon the countenances of those who entered, that there were few of the company bold enough to set foot within its precincts at all. It was within this apartment also that there stood against the western wall a gigantic clock of ebony. Its pendulum swung to and fro with a heavy, dull, monotonous clang, and when the minute hand made a circuit of the face, and the hour was to be stricken, there came from the brazen lungs of the clock a sound which was clear and loud and deep and exceedingly musical, but of so peculiar a note and emphasis that, at each lapse of an hour, the musicians of the orchestra were constrained to pause momentarily in their performance to hearken to the sound. And thus the waltzers perforce ceased their evolutions, and there was a brief disconcert of the whole gay company. And while the chimes of the clock yet rang, it was observed that the giddiest grew pale, and the more aged and sedate passed their hands over their brows as if in confused reverie or meditation. But when the echoes had fully ceased, a light laughter once pervaded the assembly. The musicians looked at each other and smiled as if at their own nervousness and folly, and made whispering vows each to the other, that the next chiming of the clock should produce in them no similar emotion. And then, after the lapse of 60 minutes, which embrace 3,600 seconds of time that flies, there came yet another chiming of the clock, and then were the same disconcert and tremulousness and meditation as before. But, in spite of these things, it was a gay and magnificent revel. The tastes of the Duke were peculiar. He had a fine eye for color and effects. He disregarded the decora of mere fashion. His plans were bold and fiery, and his conceptions glowed with barbaric luster. There are some who would have thought him mad. His followers felt that he was not. It was necessary to hear and see and touch him to be sure he was not. He had directed in great part the movable embellishments of the 7 chambers upon occasion of this great feat, and it was his own guiding taste which had given character to the masqueraders. Be sure they were grotesque. There were much glare and glitter and piccani and phantasm, much of what has been seen in Hernani. There were arabesque figures with unsuited limbs and appointments. There were delirious fancies such as the madman fashions. There were much of the beautiful, much of the wanton, much of the bizarre, something of the terrible, and not a little of that which might have excited disgust. To and fro in the 7 chambers stalked, in fact, a multitude of dreams, and these dreams writhed in and about, taking hue from the rooms and causing the wild music of the orchestra to seem as the echo of their steps. And anon there strikes the ebony clock which stands in the hall of the velvet. And then, for a moment, all is still, and all is silent save the voice of the clock. The dreams are stiff frozen as they stand, but the echoes of the chime die away. They have endured but an instant, and a light, half-subdued laughter floats after them as they depart. And now the music swells, and the dreams live and writhe to and fro more merrily than ever, taking hue from the many-tinted windows through which stream the rays of the tripods. But to the chamber which lies most westwardly of the 7, there are now none of the maskers who venture, for the night is waning away, and there flows a ruddier light through the blood-colored panes, and the blackness of the sable drapery appalls. And to him whose foot falls on the sable carpet, there comes from the near clock of ebony a muffled peal, and more solemnly emphatic than any which reaches their ears, who indulge in the more remote gaieties of the other apartments. But these other apartments are densely crowded, and in them beat feverishly the heart of life. And the revel went whirlingly on, until at length there commenced the sounding of midnight upon the clock. And then the music ceased, as I have told, and the evolutions of the waltzers were quieted, and there was an uneasy cessation of all the things before. But now there were 12 strokes to be sounded by the bell of the clock. And thus it happened, perhaps, that more of thought crept with more of time into the meditations of the thoughtful among those who revelled. And thus, too, it happened that before the last echoes of the last chime had utterly sunk into silence, there were many individuals in the crowd who had found leisure to become aware of the presence of a masked figure which had arrested the attention of no single individual before. And the rumor of this new presence having spread itself whisperingly around, there arose at length from the whole company a buzz, or murmur, of horror and of disgust. In an assembly of phantasms such as I have painted, it may well be supposed that no ordinary appearance could have excited such sensation. But in truth the masquerade license of the night was nearly unlimited. But the figure in question had out-Heroded Herod, and had gone beyond the bounds of even the prince's infinite decorum. There are chords in the hearts of the most reckless which cannot be touched without emotion. Even with the utterly lost, whom life and death are equally jests, there are matters of which no jest can be made. The whole company, indeed, seemed now deeply to feel that in the costume and bearing of the stranger neither wit nor propriety existed. The figure was tall and gaunt, and shrouded from head to foot in the habiliments of the grave. The mask which concealed the visage was made so nearly to resemble the countenance of a stiffened corpse that the closest scrutiny might have difficulty in detecting the cheat. And yet all this might have been endured if not approved by the mad revellers around. But the mummer had gone so far as to assume the type of the Red Death. His vesture was dabbled in blood, and his broad brow, with all the features of his face, was besprinkled with the scarlet horror. When the eyes of Prince Prospero fell on this spectral image, which, with a slow and solemn movement, as if more fully to sustain its role, stalked to and fro among the waltzers, he was seen to be convulsed, in the first moment with a strong shudder of either terror or distaste, but in his next his brow reddened with rage. "Who dares," he demanded hoarsely of the courtiers who stood near him, "who dares insult us with this blasphemous mockery? Seize him and unmask him, that we may know whom we have to hang at sunrise from the battlements." It was in the eastern or blue chamber in which stood Prince Prospero as he uttered these words. They rang throughout the 7 rooms loudly and clearly, for the prince was a bold and robust man, and the music had become hushed at the waving of his hand. It was in the blue room where stood the prince with a group of pale courtiers by his side. At first, as he spoke, there was a slight rushing movement of this group in the direction of the intruder, who, at the moment, was also near at hand, and now, with deliberate and stately step, made closer approach to the speaker. But with a certain nameless awe with which the mad assumptions of the mummer had inspired the whole party, there were found none who would put forth a hand to seize him, so that, unimpeded, he passed within a yard of the prince's person, and while the vast assembly, with one impulse, shrank from the centers of the rooms to the walls, he made his way uninterruptedly, but with the same solemn and measured step which had distinguished him from the first, through the blue chamber to the purple to the green, through the green to the orange, through this again to the white, and even thence to the violet, ere a decided movement that had been made to arrest him. It was then, however, that the Prince Prospero, maddened with rage and the shame of his own momentary cowardice, rushed hurriedly through the 6 chambers, while none followed him on account of a deadly terror that had seized upon all. He bore aloft a drawn dagger, and had approached, in rapid impetuosity, to within 3 or 4 feet of the retreating figure, when the latter, having attained the extremity of the velvet apartment, turned suddenly and confronted his pursuer. There was a sharp cry, and the dagger dropped gleaming upon the sable carpet, upon which most instantly afterward fell prostrate in death with Prince Prospero. Then, summoning the wild courage of despair, a throng of the revelers at once threw themselves into the black apartments, and seizing the mummer, whose tall figure stood erect and motionless within the shadow of the ebony clock, gasped in unutterable horror at finding the grave cerements and the corpse-like mask, which they had handled with so violent a rudeness, untainted by any tangible form. And now was acknowledged the presence of the Red Death. He had come like a thief in the night, and one by one dropped the revelers into the blood-bedewed halls of their revel, and died each in the despairing posture of his fall. And the life of the ebony clock went out with that at the last of the gay, and the flames of the tripods expired, and darkness and decay and the Red Death held illimitable dominion over all.
Wow. I really don't like that book. It's making my shit go wild.
Yeah, well, what'd I tell you? God, I'm sorry. I don't know the extent of things, but I've never gotten a good vibe from it, and whatever that is.
EMF reader.
Right. Yeah, EMF reader. Seems to agree with me, so...
Think that's enough for your brother?
Probably not. I don't know. I don't know what would be at this point.
He seems like he's got a stick up his ass. Listen, I don't know what other proof he needs. But it's getting pretty late. I mean, it was late to begin with, but it's even later now, and I should probably get going.
Oh, yeah, of course. Sorry for dragging you out here so late. I will see you in class, and I hope you get home safe. Bye, Bailey.
Look forward to seeing you later, Fish.
Wow, okay. Okay, this is fine. Oh no.
Antecedently is written and produced by Crowstrider. Kira Sobriquet as the voice of Fish, Crowstrider as the voice of Lori, Emily Loris as the voice of Bailey. If you want to contact us, you can email us at antecedently.podcast@gmail.com or find us on Twitter at antecedentlypod. If you'd like to find other links, including our Patreon, go to our website, antecedently.carrd.com. Thanks for listening.